Hello.
Hello,
Welcome back, everyone, to the Is It Cool podcast. I'm Caitlin,
I'm Delaney.
and we are your hosts. And today, what are we doing, Delaney? What are we doing today?
We're doing a little bit of a catch up, kind of like a monthly roundup to go ahead and celebrate the fact that we've been doing this for the past month now, which is mind boggling to me.
Yeah.
And then we each have one topic that we feel very passionate about that we want to discuss this week. Um, but first, let's just go ahead and do a little bit of a catch up. How are you?
Yeah. I'm, you know what? I've had like the most relaxing day off. I am like well rested. I had breakfast and coffee sitting on my couch, like no rush. I did laundry. I got a massage. I've done all the things. And my kids have interim assessments this week, so I don't have to teach it all this week. I just have to grade their essays, which is very nice.
I honestly love that for you. I kind
And
of feel the same way. Like just like the really relaxed,
yeah,
kind of easy day, minus the fact that I didn't get a massage, but I hear you.
listen, it's my one, like, besides doing my nails, it's like my treat once a month to like go and
Yeah,
do that for myself. But no, I'm excited because I officially, after this week, have 10 weeks left of school.
that's insane.
10, that's it. That's it.
And then you have how many weeks off for the summer?
8.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
I
I'm
was
excited.
this morning I ended up I like just woke up this morning and I did not feel good. And like I haven't
Yeah.
like been like myself the last couple days. And so I woke up and I was like, I need to just get out of
Hmm.
my apartment. I need to just like get out and breathe. And usually when I feel this way, I'll like stay at home and like rest because that's usually what
Your
I
body
personally feel
needs.
like I need.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this time I was like, no, let's not do that. And so I left. And so I felt so much better like once I left. And then as I was like walking back home, I was texting Caitlin and I was like, so I can't wait for you to come visit me in the city during spring break and join me in Central Park. Um, so I can't wait for you to have a little bit of a break for that. And then after
Yeah.
that, you have even less time before
Yeah.
you're like
We
on
have
spring or summer break.
yeah, we have 3 weeks spring break and then it's literally like less than 2 months left of school. And the last 2 weeks of school are literally nothing because it's like testing and senior events and like all that stuff. So it's really only like what is that? Like 8 weeks left of school, like of real
Yeah.
school.
But
So
then it's super exciting because immediately after you get finished with school, you'll have there's the 4th of July weekend,
mhm,
and then we also have your bachelorette,
mhm.
and then we also have a bunch of like concerts happening like the weekend after your bachelorette that we've been holding off on going to
Yeah.
because we knew that the summer versions versus the December versions would be so much better.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited.
I also just think like I mean, if you would have talked to me this time last year, I was like literally grasping at straws to try and hold on till the end of the year. And now I'm like, I've only had like one breakdown, really. Two, maybe two at the end of the year. And that, I mean, like your
Yeah,
first year teaching is genuinely like the worst year of your life. Like,
yeah,
and I mean that so totally completely. Like, even in all the times I've had breakdowns this year, they've been nothing compared to what I was feeling last year. So the fact that I've made it this far into the year without like threatening to quit my job, I feel like that's great.
I'm
I feel
proud
like
of you.
I've done something so good.
You've come a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see how I feel next year, but
We'll see, but I mean,
three
who
years
knows?
in, so
Maybe it just gets better and better with each year.
I feel like it doesn't, it's gonna sound bad. It doesn't get better. You get better. Because
There you go.
realistically, like kids, because of technology and stuff, like kids are getting worse
Yeah.
behavior wise, but I'm learning how to handle it better. So it's not that the years get better, it's just like I'm getting better at teaching.
Yeah.
So there's positives and negatives, but I get a nice raise at the end of the year, so Okay.
Lucky you,
Okay.
honestly. Must be nice.
Well, for all the things I deal with, they
Yeah,
give it
it's
over.
very
Hand
well
it over.
deserved. It's very well deserved.
I
But
there on my home screen, like my not my Pinterest board, my vision board for this year has a quote and it says teacher, their profession that creates all other professions. And
oh, that's really
whenever
cute.
and whenever I start to and I bring my laptop with me to work because our school laptops are crap.
Hmm.
And mine has broken like 6 times this year and they just can't get it to work properly. So I just use my personal laptop for all my stuff. And whenever I have a bad day, I look at that and I'm like, it's fine. I'm stimulating the economy. Like I am creating all these other jobs. So it's fine. Like I'll be fine. My kids will be fine. Wait, I'm gonna have to share it on the screen. My kids, they have art, obviously, and as one of their electives, and they made me paintings of the book we just read. I have to share it
Oh
with
my
my
gosh, that's
computer
so
and
cute.
then I'm going to share my screen. But they were like, Miss Powers, I made this for you. And I was like, I'm going to cry.
That's so cute.
Hold on, I gotta enlarge it and then I'll share my screen. Hold on, I'm not good at technology. Give me 5 seconds. I'm sure you could still see me, but I'm not focused. So just let's pause. Okay, now I can do it. Share. Look how cute those are.
Oh my gosh, that's super cute.
You could tell a 14-year-old did it, but that's okay.
Yep,
That's okay. It's the thought that counts.
that's
So,
super cute. That's really sweet.
yeah, it was really nice, made my whole day. But we have topics to get into.
We do.
I feel like you should go first because mine is just like fun. Yours is like a rant, and I feel like the
Oh
rant
my
needs to go
gosh.
first. Before we
Okay,
do that, though, I
so
did convince my fiance to buy me this Owala yesterday because my hydro flask is bent and bumped up. And so I did cave and bought a new water bottle.
okay, so is it cool or is it uncool water bottles that have a handle versus water bottles that don't have a handle? Because personally, so I grew up with a hydro flask.
Yeah, that's what I used to have.
I'm from the Pacific Northwest. Like it
Hmm.
was just the thing to have a hydro flask. And mine had the one that had the little grip so I could
Hmm.
like fit my finger through it. But then more recently, like I have to have a water bottle that has like a long straw like coming out of the
Yeah.
actual thing, like not an all wallet. Like I don't
Oh,
like it feels weird like sipping on it like that. But then also I have to have one that has a handle because if I have a water bottle where I can't like handle it while I'm walking on the street, I can't deal with it because I need to feel like I have something sturdy and heavy in my hand that if I come across like a predator, I can like just swing my arm and hit them
that's
in the
such a New York way.
face.
That's such a New York City. Like, I need to have something I can hit a predator with. Um,
But like I can still hold it in my hand, but like with an Awala or a Hydro Flask, like I
well,
am
you could,
holding it in my hand, especially with how like round they are.
well,
Like
you
I
still have a
can't.
handle. It's just not like
I
my
need like
hydro
a
flask is on my table.
sturdy,
Okay, you need like
sturdy
a side
handle.
handle. That's fair.
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
So
That's
I
fair.
have mine's on the other side of my room, but I like the Simply Modern ones because it's very like clean, simple, like
Yeah.
but cute. I love it.
Yeah, and it's
But
purple
also
and
like
I like
cool,
her.
uncool. Is it cool to have a water bottle that has a big side handle, or is it cool to have a water bottle that just has a tiny little hook?
I think it's personal preference because I don't mind the hook because when I'm walking through the hallways, if I got a kid, like not that I
You're
have.
also walking through the halls at a school. I'm
Yeah.
walking through the streets, so it's very, very different.
It's very different. I literally I'll just hook this like this and I'll walk with my stuff in my hand and I'm like
Mm.
rushing through. But I also look like one of the kids, so I- I
I
will
won't deny you there. You do sometimes look
I
like one of the
went
kids in the
I
best way.
I went into a yoga studio today because I want to try yoga. And I didn't tell you this, but I went to this yoga studio and I'm like signing up and I'm like talking to this girl and it's really cute. And she goes, and I was like, yeah, I'm getting married next year. She goes, you're getting married next year? And I was like, yeah. She goes, you look like you're 20 years old. I was like, thank you so much. I
Like
was like,
I will
I'm
take that
25.
as a compliment,
I was like,
actually.
I teach 14-year-olds. That made me feel so good. Like, they're aging me. I have gray hairs because of them. Like, thank you so much.
Oh Lord. Okay, on to the first topic.
Yes.
Is it cool to be a tour guide for your friends and family in your own city? So, and I'm talking about like this brand new city that you've moved to post grad because I, so how do I explain this? Um, when I lived in Vancouver, I lived there for a very short amount of time. And when I was living there, I never had to experience like taking my family around the
Hmm.
city because when they were coming up there, it was for very short bits of time. Um, and like we didn't do anything super touristy because every single time they came up, it was more or less like just moving me from like my first apartment to my second apartment and then like moving me out of the country, really, is what happened when I lived there. And they had also been to Vancouver before, and they had been up there for like my brother's hockey games and my hockey tournaments and stuff like that. So I never had to show them around the city as like a tourist. But the two times that, or like three times that my family has been here to New York since I've moved here, I have been a tour guide, kind of. So the first time that my family came and visited me was when I was in a wheelchair,
Oh,
fractured my knee. And so we had a bunch of things that we had planned to go and do, but they all had been altered so that I could join because I
mhm.
couldn't walk. And it was really frustrating doing that because there were things that I wanted to go and do with them and see and show them, but I clearly just
Couldn't.
could
Yeah.
not. So we kind of kept it pretty simple, pretty easy. But it was also nice because I wasn't having to deal with teaching them how to use the subway system and like having them catch up with me because I'm a fast walker. I'm like 5'10". I have long legs. Like if you can't keep up with me, I'm not falling back to go ahead and like help you out. And
This is
Caitlin knows
true.
this from personal experience.
I'm
She's
like,
literally like yelled at me and been like, little legs, little legs. I will yell back at her, keep up.
I
So
I feel like I'm gonna like when I was younger, my mom was the same way because my mom's 5'6". I'm little, like I'm not a tall
yeah.
person, and so I used to run to keep up with my mom when we were kids. That's how I feel like I am when I'm with Delaney. Like I gotta run. Like I'm getting my steps in. Like it's just Delaney walks
Yeah.
fast. I'm a fast walker, and Delaney walks fast.
I'm a fast walker, but then I have a long stride as well too, so that
Yeah,
doesn't help.
I think
But
that's what
so,
adds to it for you.
oh, 1000%. But so when my family visited the first time, it like it wasn't how I initially like envisioned it going as far as like
Hmm.
them coming to see everything and do everything. So I didn't experience really getting to be their tour guide in my city at that point. And then when my mom came a month later, she was helping me get to my trauma surgeon for my knee appointment. Um, and we kind of kept it really low key, kept it really simple. Like I literally told her, I said, the, there was a little bit of time that she was here for, and I said there was like one or two things that I wanted to go do downtown that I hadn't done since before my injury, and I had to go and do them. And she's like, okay, like I'll be your chauffeur to help you get around and do it. And we just kept it really simple. So again, I really wasn't a tour guide in the city at that time. So my mom came for St. Patrick's Day weekend, and it was kind of like a birthday weekend for her trip kind of thing because she hasn't been to the city since she came and helped me out a year ago when it was kind of like spur of the moment to come and help me out with my knee appointment because she was already in Florida, so she was already on the East Coast. It made sense, blah blah blah. So when she came up here for her birthday weekend 2 weeks ago, it was really fun. Like it was great. It also worked out because my roommate was gone for a couple days, so I didn't feel like I was imposing on my roommate having my mom as my guest here for a couple days,
Hmm.
which was really nice. But when my mom was here, there's things that she loves to do when she's here, but there's a lot of things that she's never done before and never seen and never tried. And so I was encouraging her the whole entire time, okay, like if you want to go out and get a coffee, let's go to a coffee shop you've never been to before. If you want to get a bagel, let's go to a bagel shop that you've never been to before. If you want to go out to a restaurant, let's go somewhere you've never been to before. And yes, like those are food things, but like the city is huge. There's a million things to go and do and try. Like go and do something different. I was trying to like push her out of her comfort zone and not fall into the things that she's already done and she knows. And then when it came to activities, every single time she's been here, we've always gone to the Met. because it's my favorite place. It's her favorite place. The first time I brought her to New York almost 5 years ago, we went to the Met and it was great. It was fun. And every single time that she's been back here since then, we've always gone because I live like a 10-minute walk away. But this time I was like, Mom, I love it, but let's please go somewhere else that you've never been before because we've been there every single time.
Hmm.
And they didn't have any new exhibits on that I really wanted to show her. So I was like, let's go do something different. So I encouraged her to go to the Brooklyn Museum with me instead, which was really nice and really fun. They had an exhibit I wanted to go and see. But I think the thing that I hadn't really ever experienced before, which is just long story short now, is having to be the tour guide in your own city and actually being the tour guide. Because this time around, I was taking her over to Brooklyn, and then I was taking her to Fidei, and I was taking her to Chinatown, and I was taking her kind of all over the Upper East Side for a little bit as well too. Like it was such a different experience, and it was also so tiring and like just mentally draining because there's things that I love to do, and I wanted to kind of show her the things that I love to do, and she said she wanted to experience them, which was great. But I also have a very specific way of doing things sometimes, and she isn't used to that, and she hasn't adapted to that. And so having to slow down and wait for someone to take pictures every 5 steps and having to wait for someone to really comprehend like what's going on. Um, I'm maybe it's just me not having the utmost of patience. I don't know what it is, but oh my God, being a
I
tour guide in your own city is such a challenge, and I don't know how to do it.
So I'm actually gonna piggyback a story of when my mom came here for my graduation.
Oh my God.
My whole life, my mom is from Brooklyn. My grandparents lived all across New York, the boroughs, not New York
Yeah.
State, but the boroughs my whole life. My whole family's from New York. My aunt still lives in Brooklyn. My other aunt lives in Brooklyn. Like I was born and raised in a New York family. Whether I was born in New York, but like I don't really consider myself from there because I didn't live there long
Mm-hmm.
enough to like remember it. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? But whatever. So my whole life, New York City was this magical place that we didn't go to because real New Yorkers don't care about New York City.
It's true.
We went in seventh grade. My pop-up, my mom, his wife, not my grandmother, but his second wife, and I think my Uncle Frankie came with me. We went to Rockefeller Center because my mom wanted to go and take a picture in front of the tree with us. It was like the first year after my dad passed away. She wanted to do something fun with us. And I begged, oh my God, I begged my pop-pop to take me to see the Rockettes because I was a dancer and I loved the Rockettes, whatever. And he was like, I'm not sitting through a 3 hour show if you're not dancing. And I was like, okay, whatever. But this is what I remember. Like this was our big New York City trip because
Yeah.
you're from there, you don't need to go there.
Yeah.
And then when I went to college, my mom paid for me and my childhood best friend to go to the city. We stayed with my pop-up in Queens, and then we went into the city on our own a couple days and like experienced it and went to Times Square and did all the things. Why I was allowed to do that at 18 should not have been. Like, no. But
Yeah.
anyways, whatever. We did this. My mom, from all these stories, my mom has not been back in New York City probably since 2012.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh. Yeah.
So when we went, I went to school at the new school for grad school, and you could see the Empire State Building from my school. And so we're walking around, and she's snapping pictures of the Empire State Building. I'm like, you're from here. You're from here. Like, why are you taking pictures?
Yeah.
We're like walking around. We went to Ruby's for lunch, and she's like, because Ruby's is our favorite place. And so
It's the
we're
best.
going to Ruby's for lunch, and like my uncle works in the city, so he hates it. He despises New York City, so he's like, why do you want to be here? And all these things. And I just remember my mom like take stopping and like I have a picture of my mom taking a picture of the Empire State Building like this. And I'm like, what is the point? But I get
Okay,
what you're
but
saying because it's
like
like
what's the point with Empire State Building? Because my mom, there was two things
there's
she kept
nothing
bringing up.
fun about that building.
There's
It's a
nothing fun.
point. It's a pointy building.
It's that's literally all it is. She kept bringing two things up that she wanted to do the whole entire weekend she was here. And I was like, Mom, I love you, but with all due respect, I will not take you to those places. Let's go do something else instead. Those two things were the Statue of Liberty. She
Okay.
wanted to go to see the Statue of Liberty. I was like,
Go
no,
to
let's
Battery
not do
Park.
it. So what we did
Leave from Battery
instead
Park.
was we were already in Dumbo. We took the
Mm.
ferry over to Red Hook to go get dinner in Red Hook. And so we could take the New York ferry. She'd never taken the ferry before. And then from there, she saw the Statue of Liberty from there. I was like, perfect. You got that checked off on our
Boom.
way to dinner. And then she kept wanting to do the Empire State Building. She was like, I want to go to the Empire State Building. I was, Mom, there's nothing really cool or fun about it. Also, the tickets to go up to the top of the Empire State Building, why are they $65? Like,
Not only
why?
that, but maybe you're not afraid of heights like I am. But like when I was working the
Oh, because the second part of
concerts,
the story, it proves that I'm not, but continue.
so when I was working concerts, we had to go last year, last summer for 4th of July when they were doing the Macy's parade and stuff like that and the fireworks. We
Hmm.
had to go to Top of the Rock in Midtown. And I looked down because
It's not Top of the Rock, it's the Edge.
sure.
Because I was there. I was there. It's at Hudson Yards. It's the
Yes,
Edge.
whatever it is called, whatever. I go to find MSG and we're on the glass like
It's so cool.
I wanted to throw up. I literally looked at my coworkers, a bunch of like grown men, and I was like, I think I'm gonna be sick. I need to leave. And they were like, what? And I was like, I can't be here right now. Like I can look out the window from inside and that's fine. But being out here is making me want to throw up. And like the glass is really high, like there's no way you're gonna fall. I'm not trusting my luck. My last name is Powers. I have no luck whatsoever. And all of my friends can attest to it. So I was
Yeah.
like, I'm getting out of here.
I
But
will
no,
say,
I get what you're saying.
instead
I
of,
think it's
it,
annoying.
it
I
is.
think
Like,
it's
it's
annoying to be a
so
tourist in
annoying.
your own city. However, I mean, I don't, if you
Well,
love
okay. So,
your
like,
city, if
being a
you love,
tourist in my own city and doing it at my own pace is one thing. But when
yeah,
the tour guide and I
yeah,
have
that
family and friends here, that's the part that I
the
have a
tour guide
really
is
hard time.
annoying, but I think if you love your city, because like our first hangout, I was taking you all across New Jersey, and I was like,
Oh my gosh, it was the
here's where I
best.
went to school, and here's where I grew up, and blah blah blah. I loved that. I thought that was so
It was
fun.
so much fun.
But I think it just depends. Like, you're not from New York City, so it's annoying because you're used to your working way of life, as
Yeah.
opposed to it being like, I'm from here, this is where I'm really proud to be from, and like all these things. And so it's like
Yeah.
a different atmosphere. Like, when I go around New Jersey, I'm so proud to be from New Jersey and to like be from here. And I love showing people the beach and doing all these things and
Hmm.
being like, oh, I can go to the mountains. I drove to Vermont in like 4 hours and then we drove here. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I first moved here from Florida, I was like, I hate being a tour guide because I don't even know where I am, or I'm just moving here. Like I'm working my way of life and like doing all those things. I think
Yeah.
it's different when you're in the thick of a getting accustomed to your way of life. Then all of a sudden
Hmm.
being a tour guide, you're like, well, I'm used to doing it XYZ way. And you want people to stop and stare, and you're like, I don't have time for that. But when
Yeah.
you have been there a while and your way of life is not so like imminent, then I think it's going to be easier to be a tour guide because you're like, oh, I can enjoy this because I've been here 10 years and I
Yeah.
actually have never stopped to take pictures. Like, you take it for granted almost in the first few years of you living anywhere because you're like, this is a new city and I'm already here and blah, blah, blah. But when you actually like stop and take note of it, it's so different, which is why
It totally
it's
is.
hard to it's hard to be like it sucks being a tour guide in your own city. Like I hate when I have to like give recommendations because I'm like, why don't you just know it? Just know how your way around Montclair. Just know your way
Hmm.
around this place. But then you stop and think you're like, I'm so lucky I get to live here and like know all these places. I'm lucky I get to be a regular at this coffee shop or my favorite Indian restaurant knows my name. They know me by face. They were
Oh
like, it's
my
been a while
God,
since we've seen you. And I'm like,
Caitlin.
that's so embarrassing. But I'm lucky. I'm lucky. You know what? That's luck. I'm gonna call that luck.
I mean, it's definitely a version of luck, but no, it's definitely tough. And it was great having her here, and I'm very glad that she was able to be here and have some fun and go and do some things that she's never done before. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't get it. Especially when they want to do all of the like insanely touristy things. And I'm like, absolutely not.
Well, your parents
Absolutely
are
not. Like my
from
family,
Washington. That's why. They
I
think it's
know.
so cool that you're here.
I know, but I'm not going to go I'm not going to go to Times Square with you. Absolutely not. Not going to Times Square. I'm not going to go to a Broadway show. I'm not going to go to the M&M World place that you want to go to.
No,
I'm
that's
not
stupid,
going
but
to um uh like I'm not going to go to the top of the Empire State Building with you. Like there's some things that I'm just like I don't want to do this. I don't think this is like great. Instead, I came up with the idea. I was like, okay, like I want to do something that's part of my routine, but I do want to make it an experience for you and I want you to have fun. So, my mom has never been to any of the overlook places. So, I mean, I've been to the Edge because we went to that I went to that concert there that you worked. Um, but she has never done Top of the Rock. She's never done anything else. And at the One World Trade Center, um observation deck, they do a really cool yoga class. And it's the same price to get to actually do the class and then get to the top where the observation deck is versus like paying for a ticket to get up there. So I was like, let's do an experience. And it was super fun. We went and did the yoga class, and she'd never taken a yoga class before. So she was trying something new, getting to see a view that she had never seen before. And then it was cool because the class also had at the end of it, you got a little coupon for like a free drink at the bar downstairs or at the cafe. And then you also had unlimited time at the observation deck. And it was a really, really cool experience. And she was grateful that she did it. She was really excited. And so, like, I'll go and do something like that here with you, but
mm,
I'm not going to just like artsy fartsy spend $65 to go to the top of the Empire State Building. Like, when we can do something like that instead and have it be more of like an actual proper experience. Because someone who's a tourist isn't going to know about something like that and actually take the time to go like a workout class at, a
yeah.
tourist place, you know?
I think also the difference is that like you're running on New York money and you know that
Yeah.
$65 to go to the top of the Empire State Building is a ripoff.
It's a
But
total ripoff.
your parents or tourists or whoever are running on their version of money. And so they're like, "Oh, that seems so good." And you're like, that's disgusting."
Like,
But
okay, so for less than $65, we can pay for a yoga class, an observation deck over lookout, and free drinks. Like,
they don't
in
think
my
like
mind,
that.
that's such a great deal.
But tourists don't think like that because it's like
It's
I think
so
about the fact that
sad.
like I want to go to Europe, right? And we're probably going for our honeymoon and I'm like I'm gonna no expense barred. Like I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm gonna do all the touristy things and I'm gonna pay an asinine amount of money to go make a pasta class. Like I'm gonna do it. And because you know
Yeah.
what? It's a once in a lifetime experience. And for some people, that's why they don't think that way. Because when
Hmm.
I was thinking about this in the car. I was like, I want to go to California again, but I want to do it my way and not the way I did it last time. And like
Yeah.
go to the beaches and I want to go to San Diego and like I want to go to San Francisco. Like I want to do different things, whatever. And not just be there for a concert and like have my whole life center around what we're doing for this concert. And so I was thinking about that and I was like, I would go to Malibu and stuff and like I thought about like when I went last time, like I didn't do any touristy things or in oh, okay. I we have to jump to my topic.
Okay.
But anyways, I was just saying tourist money doesn't they don't that doesn't count for anything. Like they don't
No,
believe in deals when you're a tourist. So
they totally
that's
don't.
also part of it. My
So, to finish that up, is
yeah,
it cool or is it uncool to be a tour guide in your own city?
I think it depends.
I think it depends as well too, but I'm leaning towards a little bit of no just because my experience is still so fresh.
You're like you're still scarred.
I'm still scarred.
So my topic, I just read the new Hunger Games book, and I needed to talk about this because I loved it. Like 5-star read, Suzanne Collins can do no wrong, but I am gonna fist fight her in the parking lot. Like, what the hell is wrong with you, Suzanne? And I posted like 3 different TikToks of me being like, Suzanne, what the F is wrong with you? Like, she's demented in the skull. Like, I don't know what's wrong with her, but I want it studied by scientists. And it got me thinking about books we read as kids that like leave this everlasting impact. And like
Hmm.
I'm a reader as an adult now. Like I've
Yeah.
fallen so much more in love with reading as an adult, not only just because I'm an English teacher, but just because I think I appreciate reading so much more now that I'm not writing all the time.
Yeah.
When I was writing all the time, I rarely read a book. I didn't even read the books I had to read for school. Like I was just like I can't be bothered. And or I would have see them with a kid in my class and we would read half the book and then take the quizzes together in order to pass. And it was great. I love him. But I read The Hunger Games. I read the first one and part of the second one as a kid when they came out.
Okay.
And I saw the movies in theaters. Like I was that kid. I was there, like seated at the restaurant. And so I was so excited to read about Haymitch's story, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to read this now. Whether or not I've read the books in current time, regardless, like I need to read it. So I read it in like 4 days, and I was just so obsessed. And it got me thinking, because now I'm gonna read the first one with my kids at school, like as a book club. And it just got me thinking of like, we as adults have the power to read books we read as kids. And like I've never thought of it like that. I recently read Matilda back because I was like that was my favorite book as a kid. Like
Yeah.
I was obsessed with Roald Dahl. I've read every single one of his like childhood books and I in 20 years have not read it. So I was like, why did I love it so much? And I reread it
Yeah.
and I was just like, wow, it's so crazy because I look at people that read young adult or like whatever for their job and or
Hmm.
they really like young adult. And I always like judged and thought that was weird. And I was like, why are you reading young adult as a 25-year-old person?
Yeah.
And I get it so much more now after reading this Hunger Games book because it's not so much about the age demographic because yes, they're 15, 16, whatever, but it's like reading is so political, I guess, like in all
Hmm.
cases. And so it's so important to read the things that kids are reading because it tells you like what they're being fed at
Yeah.
like in school and stuff. And it's like I mean, I read the books I'm supposed to read to teach my kids, right? But that's only 4 books a year that I'm reading for my
Hmm.
kids. This is like, if my kids are picking this up, like, what are they reading? And it's so interesting to see the messages that are being put out to kids. Because, like, when we were kids, the books that were being put out were the Twilight series, Hunger Games,
Oh, yeah.
Divergent. I'm trying to think of what else, like, came out when we were kids.
I think those were some of the, or like The
Those were
Fault in
like
Our
the
Stars, like
Fault
all
in
the
Our
John
Stars,
Green
all the John
books.
Green book.
Yeah.
Exactly. I loved John Green. I read
Yeah.
all of his books and I was like,
But when you really think about it, it's a completely different experience reading that as, a kid, a teenager, a
yeah,
young kid. That's really what
hmm
we were. I mean, I remember reading The Fault in Our Stars when, oh God, what year was that came out? Was it
2014.
like 2014? So I was 13 when I read that book. Like reading that as a 13-year-old versus reading that now is, I mean, I haven't read that book since then,
No, yeah, same.
but it's very different because you as an adult now have been through so much
hmm
and your thought process is so different. So you can really interpret that book and have a very different outlook and opinion on it now versus then. And I think, it is true that it's really important to kind of like read this now as an adult and really understand like what this young generation is being fed.
Yeah.
Um because you look at kids, like I'll look at kids like teenagers and middle schoolers that are out and around nowadays, and I'm just like, what is wrong with you?
But it's
But
not
then
even,
it's not even just that, but it's that it's like, okay, like, well, it's all of what they're consuming. And it's part of it is the books that they're reading. Like,
yeah.
what are they reading in these books and what are these stories saying? And that has an effect on their behavior and, what they're saying in general.
Well, it's like those kids. I mean, I had a kid in my class, for instance, bring a Penelope Douglas book to school. I don't know if you know who that is, but she
No
writes
idea.
crazy smut, like crazy trigger warning
Oh
smut.
Lord.
And
I can't imagine reading
I
I can't imagine
looked at
like
her, my student, and I said, "What is on your desk?" And she's like, "What do you mean, Miss Powers?" And I was like, "What is that book on your desk?" And I said, "Do you know what this is about?" Because I do. And she's like, "But Miss Powers, it came in a blind date with a book off TikTok." I said, "And never order it again." I said, get this off your desk." Like
so
a
is it like the
rated
equivalent of
R
is it the
level
equivalent
smut.
of like worse than 50 Shades of Grey?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Like, get this away from me. Like, I don't even
That's
read that sort of stuff.
insane.
And then I had a
Especially to
student,
bring that to school.
like, that's what I'm saying. I really do think, I'm not asking, is it cool? Because I think it's cool. Like, I think we need to revisit these books that
I
we
do
read
too.
as kids and like bring back some of that joy. Because the joy I had reading The Hunger Games at 12 years old, unmatched.
Mhm.
The joy I had reading Twilight for the first time, never had that same experience ever in my life.
As
Like,
someone who is obsessed with Theo James, like back then, but also still now, because if you haven't seen
mm,
him in the show The
no,
Gentleman on Netflix, then like you're
yeah,
missing out. And I actually, okay, 2 second plug. If you have not read or seen the Gentleman series on Netflix, I highly recommend you go ahead and watch it. It's great. But like knowing he was in Divergent then in 2014 and knowing he's in this now in 2024 last year, it was like holy crap. But I think I need to reread Divergent now that you're mentioning all this, because like me envisioning Theo James in that and reading that book again, yes, yes, I
You've
think I
given
need
me
that
an
again.
idea.
Oh
You,
great.
I'll buy you the book. You won't spend the money on it, but I will.
I have a library right outside my door.
That's also, but
um but yeah, I agree. I think it's cool that, rereading books now as an adult that we loved when we were kids. I think it's really important. Because then also like I just know that because I just know that there's gonna be so many different books that I want like my nieces and nephews to read.
yeah, no, I was at the library today, and then we have to wrap up because I have a
We
minute
do.
left. But I was at the library today, and I was like, I can't wait to be a library mom. Like, I can wait to be a mom. Don't get it twisted. I can wait to be a mom. Can't wait to be a library mom.
Yeah,
Like one of my favorite YouTubers is like, we're going to a library today. I'm like, can that be my life, please?
it will be.
Stay-at-home girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever. My job is library. My job is book.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want. But okay.
Anyway,
Thank you so much for listening and leave a comment down below of your favorite childhood book. Anyone
I want to
that
know.
you've read that you felt like impacted you as a child, leave it down below.
I'm really interested to see what people say.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Thank you, everyone. This was super fun. This is
Bye.
super exciting. Bye.